also offer fence row spraying and stump grinding services. Now is the perfect time to get ahead on your weed control and to take care of those troublesome stumps for an overall pleasing appearance. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 629-2440, or online at powellgene@yahoo.com. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 629-2440.
Coming this and every second Friday of the month at 11 a.m. is Trinity Healthcare Medical Center with your host, Dr. David Kuhn. Trinity Healthcare Medical Center is Ocala's only progressive primary care clinic. Be sure to listen in and also check their website at phcmc.com. Then call them with your questions at 512-0000. That's 512-0000. That's every second Friday at 11 a.m. for Trinity Healthcare Medical Center here on The Source WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
Diamonds in the sunset, now your time has come.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. How are you doing? One of the things we take for granted living in America is the fact that you can start your own business. Isn't that amazing? I mean, just think about that and ask yourself this: why do some countries make it difficult to start your own business? And I know we've had calls. We've had this same topic before, not the same guest before, but we've talked about the idea that the free enterprise system and all that. And I've had people call and say it's not really free. You got to pay for it. Your taxes, you got to pay for the licenses, etc. Yeah, but you can do it, and it's not so impossible. But if you've ever started a business and you realize it's a lot of work, well, nobody said it was going to be easy. Mm-hmm. We just said it's possible. But if you want to make it a little easier, then go to some people who have got some good advice, and that's where I wanted to go with this conversation. Royston Guest is our guest. He is a leading authority on growing businesses, delivering personal transformation, and developing peak performance. He's an executive coach, the CEO of PTI Worldwide, the founder of Built to Grow and Built to Grow Worldwide. He's got a book called Built to Grow, How to Deliver Accelerated, Sustained, and Profitable Business Growth. And he's going to talk to us about staff as well, once you get to the point where you're actually hiring people. Royston Guest, good morning, sir. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Larry, it's great to be with you.
And where are you? Where are you calling from?
London in the UK.
You're in London? Oh, my gosh. So I'm bragging about I'm bragging about American opportunities. Do you have the same opportunities over there?
Absolutely, from an entrepreneurial perspective, you know, we are the country of the innovative mindset and the entrepreneurial spirit. So I think it's we are kindred spirits in terms of aligned to America in terms of that go-getting, make it happen mentality.
And we have positive people and we have negative people. Do you sometimes have the negative feedback? It's not really free because you have to buy a license and all that? Because to me, those are small obstacles compared to some countries that don't want you to start a business at all.
Yeah, I think our global challenges, you know, we live in a negative world, don't we? When you switch on the news, what you see, you know, newspapers, it's not about success stories. Most people will default talking about the negative. But I think the entrepreneur's got this ability to kind of switch out from all that negative, and they get really focused in terms of the difference they can make, the business that they want to build. You know, and for most people owning their own business, it's like having a second or a third child. It's almost got that close affinity.
Sure.
It's something that's really close and personal. So, we're really focused in the UK. I mean, our elections today has thrown up a curveball, which was similar to yours not so long ago. But the spirit will continue.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself. How old were you when you started your first business?
So I was 22 when I first started my own company. I started on an apprenticeship program in construction. My first ever salary that I earned was $6,500 a year. I was just one of those children that wanted to get into the real world of life, and my university was actually in the real world of work and, you know, building businesses and getting involved in work from an early age. My father had his own business in construction, and at weekends and during the summer holidays, I always used to go and work in his business. So that entrepreneurial spirit was engendered and fostered in me from a really early age.
Robin is my partner here, and Robin and I started a business years and years ago. And when we first got the license from, was it the city or the county, Robin? We got the license from
the county.
Somebody, the people who can sell you things all must know that a new business has been filed. And so we got calls from people wanting us to buy advertisements, radio stations. I work for a radio station, but we were getting calls from radio stations, newspapers, all kinds of people who wanted to sell us whatever it is that they thought would benefit us. It was a lot to wade through to try to figure out what's the best thing. So does the book help us wade through those things?
100%, and I always think there's two ways to learn in life. One, you can learn through trial and error, or one, you can adopt a principle which I call success modeling. And if you think now, I've been in business now for over 2.5 decades. And from a personal perspective, I've had some stunning failures and some fantastic successes. So Build to Grow is the culmination of 2.5 decades of literally having worked with tens of thousands of businesses across 27 countries. And really the formula, the ingredients for how you can take your business idea out your head, how you can translate it into a business plan, and then how you can bring that idea to life and really start to grow and develop your business. So it's the guiding principle, it's a philosophy, it's a framework for you to be able to take your idea and bring it to life.
How do you test market something?
Well, in terms of an idea or a concept?
Yeah, like for example, we were in a nearby city here, St. Augustine, and they have there's a little shop we walked into, and they specialize in French pastries. And I thought, well, maybe she would be better off. And there was nobody else in there. And I thought, well, they're not selling many French pastries. Mm-hmm. They would be better to sell like all pastries. How can you know, or is it a matter of tweaking it as you go along, always changing the direction?
It's about tweaking it as you go along. I mean, for example of that is, where you've got a retail shop like that and they're selling French pastries. I mean, do you wait for people to come through the door, or do you go out there amongst the streets and, taking taster samples and let people try it? Do you go into shopping malls? Do you go to business customers where you send them samples that they can taste? So, it is absolutely about, thinking about a need or a want, but you've got to do some consumer testing to understand what it is that people will be prepared to buy. It's a classic failing that so many people come up with an idea. A lot of businesses we work with now, we do a lot of incubator businesses, and people come with an idea and they've remortgaged the house, they've invested all the life savings in it.
Yeah.
And you go, what testing have you done with this? And they go, we haven't done any testing. It's just an idea that I had in my head, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Absolutely breaks my heart, Larry, because they've spent all their hard-earned money on something that's just never going to fly.
Wow.
I like the idea that you have been upfront with us and said that you've had failures and successes, because sometimes people will have a failure, maybe two, and then all of a sudden they're done. They just go back to the ordinary and they don't want to pursue it, but you have.
And you learn as much from those, and it depends on how you view failures, doesn't it? I always remember when Edison was interviewed when he had invented the light bulb and light and electricity, and somebody said to him, "I can't believe you've had 999 failures in creating electricity in the light bulb." And Edison turned around to him and said, "Stop there, young man. I haven't had 999 failures. I've just found 999 ways not to do it yet."
Love that.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So let's take it past the beginner and get to the point where it's a successful business, and now you have staff, you have employees. Part of the successful business, and part of your book talks about that. And can that be the make it or break it moment for you, for a business?
100%. It's absolutely the make or break. I mean, if you want to grow your business, it can't be that you are doing everything. And when you first start out in your career, of course, you are the marketing man, you are the salesman, you're doing the finances, you're making the products, you're doing all that. But you can only do that for a certain period of time before, you need other people in order to start to grow and scale your business. So, one of the greatest assets walks out the business every night, which is your people. The question is, what are you doing to get them back next morning where they are really motivated, where they're inspired and they're enthused to be the best that they can possibly be? So, hiring the right people, nurturing, developing them, setting them up for success can either make or break your business. It can either accelerate your growth journey, or it can knock you back 5 or 6 steps.
But they have to feel like they actually are a part of it. One of the examples you give is of a gentleman who was very involved with the business, very family-oriented and stuff, and then new management took over, and all of a sudden he was put on the sidelines.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Robin. It's my kind of generic example I use, and you're talking about John there, who doesn't feel the same about work anymore, because something's changed, and he used to approach it with that commitment and drive, where he'd go the extra mile, he would do the extra hours, but then that new management team came in, he wasn't involved in decision making, he became voiceless and depressed, and the result, and this is the key, the discretionary effort goes out the door. What do I mean by discretionary effort? What you don't want is people coming into work where they are just swapping their contractual hours and they're coming in and it's just a job.
Yeah,
you don't want people thinking TGI Friday. You want people actually saying it's TGI Monday. Thank God I get to go to work on a Monday because I get to go and make a difference.
Yeah.
So
I think sometimes our own egos get in the way. If you are offended by somebody else having a good idea because you want to be the one who has all the good ideas, you're going to fail. I think you have to have people who are innovative, who can lend their innovation mentality, I guess. I don't know how to say this, but the fact that they are innovative, allow those innovations to be presented, at least brought to the table so you can talk about it.
100%. It's the Russian doll principle, isn't it? Employ giants, because if you employ giants, if you employ people who have got the potential to be better than you are, then that's how you can grow, you can scale your business. And, the definition of insanity is that you are a technical expert in what you do, and then suddenly you decide that you want to go and set up a business. I call it the technician with the entrepreneurial seizure. And then all you're doing is you're doing the same thing you were doing, but now you're doing it within the framework of a business. Plus you've got all the other things to do in terms of running a business. That's the definition of insanity. So how can you surround yourself with, focused people who are really committed, who buy into the vision of what you're trying to do, and how can you create the environment where they can absolutely flourish, where they can really add tangible value and be the best that they can be?
You define the difference between job and purpose. It's like when a young person is 16, they're going out for their first job just to get their feet wet, to make money so they can start supporting themselves. But then down the line, they've got to realize that they don't need just a job anymore. They need to have a purpose and they need to have a passion for a chosen career.
Yeah, and Robin, you think about particularly the new generations. It's really interesting looking about the older generations and Generation X against the millennials and the new generations coming through, about how they are wired. And in the olden days, it was about my job, my role, how much I was earning, my annual performance review. Whereas now, when you look at the younger generations coming through, they're wired in a completely different way. They are motivated in a different way. It is about mission and purpose. It is about doing meaningful work where they really feel like they are adding value. The average graduate now coming out of university will have 15 jobs in their career.
Wow.
So it's not a job for life anymore. So as an employer, it's about how you really get people to be truly engaged, where you create different opportunities where they can stretch, where they can grow, and where they can really make a difference.
Yeah, we've had Tony Robbins as a guest years ago, and motivational speaker Tony Robbins, for those who don't know who he is, and he told us that a guy who does motivational speaking for a living, he goes to other motivational speakers, and he'll say, if I don't know, if everything the speaker is talking about is something I've already heard, but I hear one thing that I haven't heard before, one idea, I feel like my time is worth it. And I'm thinking that the people who will buy a book called Built to Grow, a business-enhancing book, probably have other business-enhancing books. And while some of the things you're saying may have been covered already or may have been learned by the School of Hard Knocks, I'm guessing a lot of the stuff in this book is just kind of maybe a different look at things for the established businessman or woman that will be usable. In other words, make it worth their time.
And the reality is, everything that's in Build to Grow has been tested in the real world of business. It's not glib theory. We've taken the ideas, we've personalised them, we've applied them ourselves. So there is absolutely nothing in Build to Grow that hasn't been tested multiple times in real businesses. So the feedback I'm getting when people read Build to Grow is it's written in a style that I can instantly connect with, that I can think about how I can personalise it to my business. It was deliberately written that way because I think if you can simplify it and people can see that then when they start to apply it and they get confidence, then success breeds success.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, you have such an amazing personality, though. Built to Grow is more than a book. When we visited your website, I mean, you've got videos, and that is the personality that you have while we're watching you and hearing you speak is the same personality that wrote the words in the book.
And you know what? It was a labour of love putting the book together. And it's like when you buy a CD or a music album. Sometimes the first 2 or 3 songs are great, but then it drops off. And I was absolutely committed when I wrote the book because I wanted people to be able to pick it up, and the 15 chapters that are in there, that people would just be rolling from one chapter to the other and going, wow, that was fantastic, and now the next one. It was a real concentration to make sure that every single word counted, that I was writing it in a language, having, being a business owner and having, lived, breathed, and eaten this stuff for 2.5 decades, that, I wish I'd have had Build to Grow when I first started out on my journey, because, I'd have been able to fast track my success much quicker.
Yeah. Many of us go to YouTube these days to get a formula for fixing the lock in the car door, or for putting a roof on a house, or finding out some information about how to do something. Starting a business requires more than just watching a simple video. A book like this is probably going to be a better way to introduce yourself to a formula that you probably will use and probably benefit from. I want to learn more about what's in the book, but we have to take a little break. Royston Guest is our guest, and he's the author of the book, Built to Grow, calling in from the United Kingdom. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For Friday, looking at a shower or thunderstorm in spots during the afternoon, otherwise clouds and sunshine with a high of 83 to 86. Then Friday night, partly cloudy, low 69 to 74. On Saturday, humid with clouds and some sun, and afternoon thunderstorm spots and a high of 85 to 88. On Sunday, very similar, humid with clouds and sun and an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, and a high of 84 to 88 degrees. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Evan Duffy.
Ocala Business Leaders Incorporated is a group of independent local firms providing a wide range of quality goods and services. Each firm strives to maintain the highest level of professional integrity and 100% customer satisfaction. When you're looking for goods and services, call a member of the Ocala Business Leaders, and we are confident you will be pleased with the results. If you are interested in becoming a member of the Ocala Business Leaders, join us at the Ocala Elks Lodge, 25th Avenue in Ocala, any Wednesday at 7 a.m. and enjoy a breakfast on us. For more information, check OcalaBusinessLeaders.com.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
Now read Ocala Downtown Newspaper online.
Here is your 30-second news brief. We'll find out sometime today if Florida lawmakers can settle their differences over the budget or go into overtime. An 18-year-old Ocala man was arrested after walking naked down US 441 and damaging the cage in a sheriff's office patrol car. A boil water notice has been issued in Mount Dora after lightning struck a water main. Florida's standard assessment test scores have improved across the state, and the Powerball jackpot for tomorrow night's drawing is estimated at $435 million. And that is your news brief from the source.
Next Generation MD is the future of healthcare now. Listen in the first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. to learn how the future in PRP treatments are here in our area. Find out the many ways that Dr. Juan Jordan, MD, Charles Brooks, NP, and case manager Mark Shaw have brought the family medicine practice to a new level. Hear from the very people that benefit from the fine work they have done in this field. Next Generation MD, every first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. here on WOCA 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source. Hey, Dan, what'd you get me for Father's Day?
Well, let's see. I like ham, turkey, roast beef, and especially meat falling off the bone ribs.
Well, I'm not cooking.
Clearly, eating is more your forte. So what do you say we let Honey Baked Ham and Cafe do the cooking? They've got everything we both like.
What's the address? I'll go pick it up.
2709 Southwest 27th Avenue, right there behind Best Buy. As a matter of fact, they even cater, so I'll make this one step easier by calling 861-0011 right now.
Honey Baked Ham and Cafe in Ocala.
Tell them Dan sent you.
Tell them Joe sent you. Get 10% off.
All right, 6 minutes before 10 o'clock, 76 degrees. Looks like a beautiful day out there. The weekend looks pretty nice, but there is rain mentioned in the forecast. Actually, if you're going to plan something for today, tomorrow, or Saturday, today's the best day as far as rain goes. But we need the rain, right? Let's go back to the phone. Royston Guest is on the phone, calling in from the UK, and his book is called Built to Grow. Robin just reminded me, Royston, that you were on the show back in February, so thank you for coming back.
No, it's great to be back. You can get me talking about this stuff, and you keep me going for hours.
Let me ask you about advertising. Here's my thought on advertising. I want to tell you my thought before I hear your thought. A, I think advertising is necessary, but B, I think you have to be careful where you advertise. I work at a radio station, so we make our living selling advertising. But I also think that sometimes if you're using radio, you have to approach it differently than you would the newspaper ad. It's got to be a different way of doing it. And maybe sometimes radio is not for you. Sometimes maybe print is better for you. But I would want, as a businessman, to find out beforehand. How do you test that? How do you know where to advertise your business?
You're touching on a huge subject here in terms of, there's so many channels to market now, and the whole world of marketing and communications is moving so quickly, whether it's, social media or whether it's traditional print, advertising, as you're talking about. My take on it is simply this, that I think for small SME businesses, the cost of doing, articles in newspapers or billboards can be significant. So for me, they shouldn't be engaged in institutional advertising. They should be more targeted in terms of direct responsive. And part of that comes about really looking at the personas of, the kind of customer who you want to engage and what kind of customer you're trying to attract. Where do those customers hang out? And really understanding what are their preferred channels of communication. So, for example, if you're trying to connect with millennials today, it's no good doing an advertisement in a traditional print newspaper because they just ain't going to be looking there.
That's right.
What they're going to be doing is they're going to be on social media and they're going to be, on their gadget, whether it's through Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever the other channel, Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's got to be confusing. If you're a young person, that's probably what you're thinking. But if you're older and trying to reach the young person, you might need the insight of a younger person. Just ask, how do you find out about things? And they'll probably tell you, I guess. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. And, we've really moved into the social media in a big way, particularly since we launched the book, because one of the greatest channels of getting that out there is through social media. But what we did was we made a mistake to start with, and it's put us back 6 months in our journey because we had an agency working with us on our social media strategy. What we did instead was we went to university, got a graduate who just finished their media degree, and we took them on because a 22-year-old is going to know exactly how to work the social media strategy because they're living, breathing, eating and sleeping it every single day.
I found the book on Amazon, and it looks like it's getting good reviews. It's called Built to Grow. Royston Guest is the author. Before we run out of time, let me make sure the listeners can buy the book. Amazon obviously is one choice. Is there a better choice? Or, like, Robin went to your website, so apparently you have a website. What is your website?
www.roystonguest.com.
Okay.
You also advocate that everyone needs a chance, so they go in and they can do the fundamentals, but you say that it's good for the employers to allow their own personality to shine.
In terms of when people are working in the business.
Right, exactly, because you do have people with different ideas, and just because something is different doesn't mean it will not succeed.
Absolutely not. And, people come at things from different perspectives with different mindsets, different philosophies, and different life experiences. And it's about being, children are great because they have that childlike instinct of curiosity and constantly asking the why questions. And I think as we get older, we become conditioned and we're not as open to picking up ideas from other people. And I think one of the greatest spirits of the entrepreneurial spirit is where you are curious and you are open to ideas from whatever source they are. And you're listening all the time, and not just listening to, you're really listening to hear, so you can take the ideas, personalize them, and really think about how they can make a difference for you from both a business and a professional perspective.
Royston Guest is the leading authority on growing businesses, and he's here to help you grow yours with his book called Built to Grow. If you want the book, you can go to Amazon. You can go to RoystonGuest.com. Royston, Royston, Guest, Guest, RoystonGuest.com. Royston, how's the weather in the UK?
It was really good earlier in the week. It was about 26, 27 degrees. It's dropped off a little bit now, but we certainly don't get the seasons like we used to do. Our summers are hit and miss, I'm afraid.
All right. Our prayers have been sent by the way, our prayers have been sent to your country. We've had so many things from the news that just are troubling. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
No, I really appreciate being with you. It's great to talk.
Thank you, Royston. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. President Trump tweeting James Comey's a leaker the morning after his personal attorney threatened to go after Comey, who testified before a Senate committee on his interactions with the president.